Hey, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Hope you're having a fantastic day. You may or may not know the men's also, but the women's USA 3v3 basketball team did not win the gold. They actually battled back from a terrible start in group play, and they ended up grabbing the bronze. They lost in the semifinal to Spain, and as you can see here, referees wanted the U.S. to lose Olympic 3v3 tournament. Star player Hailey Van Lith says. And interesting, that's that's a big statement. I will say this. I can understand her saying that if you watch the game against Spain or go check out some highlights if they'll show you the bad calls in the highlights. It was a really poorly officiated game. Obviously, Haley's saying this without proof, but a reasonable person could say, you know what, this doesn't seem right. How can officiating actually be that bad in the Olympics? But unfortunately, the U.S. did drop that game, so they don't get back to back golds. They did win the bronze by defeating Canada in the bronze medal game. Now, as you know, the U.S. on the men's and women's side have been pretty dominant in normal 5v5 basketball. The men have won 16 golds in 20 appearances, while the women are 9 for 12 with the silver and bronze. Oh, and by the way, one thing I wanted to point out in case people think that Haley's just being a sore loser, do not think that there have not been fixed matches. And I won't do a huge deep dive, but this is a story. This fascinated me. My dad told me about this one, and I went back and looked into it. And 1972 Olympic game, Olympic gold medal game, USA basketball. And remember, these were college kids back then playing real grown men. By the way, Cheryl Swoops, who thought Caitlin was 25 when she was in college, playing real grown men against the Soviets. They were up. Doug Collins made two free throws to put the U.S. up one with about 3 seconds left. Soviets get the ball. They don't score. The clock runs out. The head See, go check this out. This slips my mind. I wasn't going to talk about this, but it was somebody important to the Olympics. I forget if the head of the IOC or someone actually comes out of the stands, talks to the referees. They put 3 seconds back on the ball, give the ball to the Soviets again. No reason given. By the way, they did this 3 times until the Soviets finally scored, and then they gave the Soviets a gold medal. The U.S. team, if you want to understand how bad this was, they no-showed getting the silver medal. They boycotted it. They didn't show up. So I'm not saying this was that. Just my point being to bring that up is to think that sports don't get fixed and matches don't get fixed is a little bit naive when the evidence is all around us. But anyway, so obviously Haley was not too thrilled and she spoke out and said this was 1000% BS. Those refs wanted the U.S. to lose, she said after the game. They were flopping left and right. They are not that good. Great job, ladies. We know who should have won. And again, even to her point, those refs want us, even if it's not some big conspiracy, look, if you're going to be, and we don't have to have that debate with each other, but if you're going to be honest with yourself on the inside, you or someone when they interact with other people who they vehemently disagree with, say, on political issues nowadays in this country. Unfortunately, it didn't really used to be like that. It will impact how they treat them, whether it's how they serve them as a waiter or waitress or whatever it is. So to think that officials from other countries can't negatively impact events in which countries they don't like play, politically speaking, that also is a little naive. Her teammate Sarah Burdick went a different route, and she basically said, "Hey, not the medal we wanted, obviously, but I don't want to take away from the moment." Burdick said after the bronze medal match, "Well, I don't think you're taking away from the moment after the bronze medal match, right? I think you would have been taking it away after the Spain match." A lot of gratitude, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears were invested into this. That's so cliche, but it's true. So she really didn't want to comment on it at all. Now, I will say this, which is what I want to dig into a little bit. This is true. Um, the way this is written, I believe this is what Brian Windhorst of ESPN said. I can't believe I'm going to agree with somebody at ESPN, but that's where we are. FIBA doesn't really want the USA to do good at 3-on-3 basketball. They really want that for the countries that can't field 5-on-5 teams. So they do all these things, like they have all these different layers and layers of things you have to do to qualify. The only way you can play is if you play in like 15 qualifying events. And that is true, which is what we're going to dig into, which is why, like this article asks, and I've gotten this from a lot of people when they see it in comments on my videos or on X or wherever it is. People are like, why isn't the 3v3 men's team better? Why don't they have bigger names? I mean, the Olympic 5v5 team is one team. There's like a whole lot of players in the NBA who could come in and win this thing in their sleep. Well, that's because of the rules of FIBA, and it's very, very difficult to qualify to be on the Olympic 3v3 team. And by the way, a lot of other countries play a lot more 3v3. They actually have 3v3 professional leagues. So let's just break this down a little bit because it's not exactly the same as the Hailey Van Lith thing, but it makes the point that they really don't want the U.S. We've dominated basketball for so long. They don't really want that. Um, and there are also some other ridiculous rules that aren't just about the U.S. Like here with Fredette getting hurt, you only had 4 players, so that was it. He got hurt in what, the second game, and then that was it. So that made it really, really tough for the men. But here's a little bit about the qualifying. So you have to comply with FIBA eligibility rules. Each country, the roster has to have 2 players ranked within the top 10 of that country and 2 players ranked within the top 50 or with the minimum number of ranking points. And Olympic rosters, FIBA wants them to be made up of athletes who play regularly on the FIBA 3v3 World Tour, at challenger events, on the FIBA 3v3 Women's Series, since those bring with them the highest amount of ranking points. All, as it says, it creates a problem for NBA or WNBA players. What NBA player, and by the way, what NBA team paying them millions upon millions upon millions of dollars a year, with the NBA season being as long as it is already, what team wants their player to go out and basically have another job playing 3v3? What player wants to do that? And then in the WNBA, you have those players, as you know, a lot of them, they go play overseas in real other 5v5 professional leagues as well. So players that do that and combine the two, they're playing a ton of basketball. Even though the WNBA season may be short, they're playing a lot of basketball because they're playing an entire season overseas as well. And then you're expecting players to sacrifice their off season and play in 3v3 events, or maybe WNBA players that don't, if they'd have to decide not to go overseas and make the money, a lot of times more money than they make playing in the WNBA, and then they'd have to sacrifice that to play 3v3. So it makes it very, very, very difficult for the US, with the way basketball is here, to field the best when it comes to 3v3 basketball. Um, I think I'm going to leave it there. I hope that helps you out a little bit. For I know a lot of people have had questions about 3v3, because I think when Cameron Brink got hurt, people talked about Caitlin Clark playing. I don't think she qualified to play. And that is why, because of these rules by FIBA that really impacts the U.S. more than anyone else. But look, and I looked for video. I didn't see video of Hailey's comments, and how they were said and so forth. But I have, in things that I've seen, I have some sympathy for her. I always go back and forth with players have things like that, because sometimes it just really feels like sour grapes, and it's like, yeah, be quiet, stop complaining. And you know what? There are times when I'm like, hey, let them vent. They kind of have a legitimate case. They've worked really, really hard for this, and it seems like it was taken away, and not because of anything they did or anything that the other team did, but just factors they could not control. But anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments below about 3v3 in FIBA and the rules and how that hurts the US, whether you feel like we should get that changed. Maybe we should have a 3v3 professional league in the US. I don't know. Let me know what you think about Hailey Van Lith's comments. Did you watch the game? Do you understand where she's coming from? Do you think sports would never fix games or matches or events? But let me know. Thanks for checking out this video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will talk to you later.